full body stretch out. You're starting with your strap, please. I'm going to actually use my stretch out strap. I do love my resist-band for this too, because sometimes it feels like you might need more strap. So let's just see what happens. Okay, you all know that I love the shoulder mobility work. And if your shoulders are giving you any kind of that crabby feeling when you pull your arm out and try to lift it up, then what I want you to do is start your arm, start it from a nice bent position and see if you can get it to sweep around your head from a nice bent position versus elongated and tensioned. So I don't have any crabbiness in my shoulders today, so I'm going to keep my arms straight. My full intention for my body movement is to get my arms all the way down and back before I start that trailing arm on its journey up and over, right? So if you've made your strap too short and you can't get your arms back and into the drawdown period, then unfold your strap so you've got all of this extra band, and it will help you get yourself around your own body. So there you go. If you haven't changed directions, go ahead. I'm going to reset my strap back for the half length because I don't want to bonk myself in my head. Which way was I going? Breathe in, blow out. The update since I saw you last. Rich tested again on Friday, and he came up with a positive test again. So now we've gone through the weekend. Literally, I've taken myself out to the dock and gotten my exercise in and my sunshine. So, Chris, that was a good idea. Step outside. And so I'm not in cabin fever, but he is going absolutely crazy. So he's going to retest today. You got about 4 or 5 more. I've already put myself into the next leg position. So stand with your feet together. As you're looking down, let the big toes come to touch and then create that little separation through the heels. You can take your band, discard it. Put your fingertips in the down position, close the hands. Something that we haven't done for a while is that breathing. When you get ready to exhale, pull your hips through so your buns are tight. Let your knuckles gently drive your jawline up. Close the gap between your elbows and exhale. Lift and breathe. Now, I'm going to keep talking you through this, but this is your basic movement, okay? 2 things I need for you to feel. One of them is on your inhalation. You should feel like your belly distends when you're full of air, okay? And then as you float your head back and you go into your exhale, tighten your buns, pull your middle body through you like you're being cinched up and being like squeezed. Those are your phenomenal abdominal muscles working, and it's really important that they get recruited right now. Ready? So if I've thrown you off of your breath cycle, you just maintain yours with as full of an inhale as you can get. Exhaling. And you're not in a rush. Even when you get all filled up, it's okay to pause there for a moment and you exhale. And even when you get all the way through your completed exhale, pause there for a moment. Begin again. It's it's like you're trying to increase the amount of time it's taking to complete the full cycle of your inhalation and exhalation. And if you're in a rush, then you miss out on your checklist of things to do for yourself, right? Checklist is, where is your body weight, right? Is your booty kind of sticking back behind you, right? When you drive your jawline up, can you pull and slide your shoulders out of your ears? When you press your jawline up, are the hips pushing so far forward that you're pinching your low back, right? This is your checklist. Inhale up. This is your last one. Make it your best one. Like something is a harness supporting you under the shoulders, lifting you to your full extension, and then pull in through the middle body, buns tight, shoulders down, abs engaged. Exhale, release the arms, relax. For me, that breathing, that whole oxygenated, I'm going back to my strap, getting my system oxygenated, it's an odd thing. It immediately puts me into my system working, and I often will get, I feel a circulatory rush, and um, and it often comes with a little bit of a sweat with it. So it doesn't scare me. It actually feels good. So where are we going? You're going back to your foot position, big toes together. You could even slide the heels together too if you wanted to, but not at the compromise of the toes floating out, right? So you want to make sure that your toes stay together, push your knees together. You've got your strap, and I want you to just start here. The legs are bent, and it's like we're sweeping all of the stuff off of a shelf, right? And if you can, you're going to draw down deeper. So we don't want any pain in the knees. Let that be the guide of how bent-legged you go, all right? So if you can stay down, I'm going to give you the side angle here, right? So if your back is all rounded and you're sweeping your arms, you're going to feel like a distress across the lumbar. Try to get into that nice long pushed back hip line. The neck is relaxed, so you're looking down. When you get to the side, pause, take your far arm, pull it up, and as that arm starts coming up, I want you to stand up. You've got tension on the bottom arm, and now I'm going to face you. Your arms are framing you, all right? So they're not forward. As high as you can get them, shoulders permitting. Squat back down because you're coming down, pulling on the band. Let the high arm come back around to the table. Sweep that long pattern. Pause. Come back around because we're alternating this from side to side. Pause. Take your high arm, pull it up. Start standing up like you're saying, rise and shine. Over you go. See this little hip push? That starts the stretch along the side body frame, okay? So you're in pull mode, you're squatting, the high arm is gonna reach out, sweep along the shelf, all the way over, come all the way back, because this is the alternating sides. High arm comes up, pull, squat, sweep, clean off the shelf, come back around, start it again. High arm, up, 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 down. This is your last one. Sweep one way, pull back, up, and over. Do the side sweep, come back to midline, stand up, and relax. Set your strap off to the side. You will probably use that again when we do the floor work, but now I want you to think about winding up, okay? And I'm slightly being funny, but this is how I want you to start. We're going to move our limb as if we actually have an injured part. And then we can advance if everything goes well. So I'm already in it. Okay, I've got a split stride, my body weight, I'm rolling front and back, my trailing leg is actually getting to rise up. So it's like a pattern of upper body leading and the bottom half of us is coming along, right? Up and around. Now, can I tell you how hard it is for an untrained body to actually stop right here and unwind it? Pull it up, pause, unwind, pull it up. Now, if everything's feeling good, elongate the arm, pull it back. We are allowing the hip to open out. We'll straighten that up in a minute. Big stretch. So you have two options with your arm, big stretch and stop. If on the back part of your travel, the shoulder presents not happy, see if you can put the hand back on the elbow, or excuse me, hand back on your shoulder and just do some version of your circle, but keep this fluid portion of your movement going, okay? So now, if you do not have to rock the trailing leg to an open position, try to stay squared, which is going to make it harder. Add the other arm, and maybe you have to go, okay, well, one arm can be straight and one arm needs to bend. Like this is your brain teaser, right? We haven't thrown the neuroplasticity into the word, into our verbiage lately, but I'm using it this morning. So now my hips are square. When I don't want to confuse you, but it's going to be really important that when you hit like the 6 and the 12 o'clock spot, that you're like in this firmly planted position. And does it matter which arm you have up? No. Okay. So don't throw yourself off by that. I just want your arms to be doing windmilling. Maybe they're doing this, but I want your hips squared up and I want your trailing foot to be a real firm plant through half of the movement, right? 5, 4, because a lot is required of your body to push down and hold while your upper body is doing something different. Last one, walk out of it, wipe the slate clean, see what your back feels like. When we do the other leg, okay, the arms are going to be going the opposite direction. So switch your stride around, okay, start the rock, take your other arm, broken wing, pull up through the elbow, allow your body to just open back. Everything's nice and comfortable. So because I know how challenging this movement is, and it might not be for you because most of you have been doing this for a long time with me. But when I start with new people and I try to get them into a rock step with a stop and a swivel and them adjusting their foot from front foot press to ball of the foot, there is this part where their bodies are just fighting all of this like stability work. So this, as simple as it might seem to us, presents a really good challenge for the body. Even with a mastery, right, of you doing something for a long time, if you want to make it harder, put one foot not heel to toe close, but you can stand on your straight line if you're wanting to make this harder for yourself. Okay, so now what I've got going here is when this arm sweeps back, I am driving that heel to the floor and bending my front leg so it feels like I've got to push with my legs going while my arm is working, right? So now, I'm slightly ridiculous, right? Take the arm forward. Okay, so here we go. Windmilling, because we did the opposite on the other side where we were going backwards windmill. So now I want you to go forwards. I'm giving you options because I don't know what's going to feel the best for your body. So if you get back and you start pulling up, and that's where you have the biting in your shoulder, then offload the tension by bending your arms. If you have put your legs in a straight line and now you can barely do the movement, then create the space again where you have an offset position. Half of your motion should be with you on toe point. The other half is with you really firmly pushing the heel to the floor. So you now have to figure out, of all of the directions, what parts are you going to incorporate? Okay, give me two more. Power up, anchor, power up, anchor, and relax. Walk it off. Okay, so that was a plane of action, and now we're going to move along this plane of action. Even though I don't come into the workout like with notes going, okay, I'm going to make sure we do this and then check and this, my body, like I already know that we need to kind of just move through space, horizontal plane, transverse plane, frontal plane. Like these are terms that I don't always throw out in class, but yet I'm extremely mindful within each workout that we're doing things on my little checklist of making sure we get each plane hit so that our body is used to variety. Okay, so it's already happening. The arms may or may not be something that you want to do. The leg position from a profile looks like this. Okay, so side step, front with a little glide. Open it up, side step, the next leg travels slightly forward, and I slide into what I'm going to call the pocket. That helps me feel that hip. Now, I'm not super limber, but I'm flexible enough to be able to have some extra push at the end of my movement that feels just right for me. But if you cross your leg over and instead of feeling it laterally, you feel interior pinch, then you're not going to take the step across. Okay. And that's really hard for me to do because I've conditioned my body. But just as simple as this, loading one foot, right, and sliding the hips over, you can then add the arm up. This is, this is a movement that I give in almost every single workout when I'm teaching my group fitness stuff on the beach, right? Push, you all know that program I work for, right? Push and hold, push and hold, push and hold. What are our arms doing? Framing around our face, right? So if your arms are in front of you and your shoulders will permit you to pull your biceps back, and then I want you to twist, twist, pull your belly in, turn the head. Where's this other arm? Pull it back. You're framing. Bring yourself back to neutral. Release. Other side. Just hold. Some version, right? The front leg is only there to help you stay balanced, right? It's a soft knee. Arms come up. The hips, your body should kind of look like it's got this crescent shape being formed. Frame your face. Tip. And now twist a little bit. Release out of it and relax. All right. Grab your ball. It might be wise to put your mat down. So I swapped out mats. I don't always use the same one, and this one may prove to be very interesting this morning. So I was on the dock yesterday doing my little, it was all flexibility work and some postures of, holding stances. And this mat has a pretty good thickness to it, but the squish part of it made it really hard for me to balance, which was slightly frustrating, combined with the wind. So I was working against elements yesterday that don't normally present themselves, and the mat is just to help give you some traction, as you know. So you're on your ball. Can you just kind of go into this, like, what looks like really bad posture, just to kind of release that lumbar and then pull yourself back up to S, right? When you rock into C curve, you're not just letting your body slouch, it's with a control of you pulling your navel to spine. So sometimes it takes years for me to articulate something just right. And it dawned on me that when I give the cue to kind of just lean back and go to C curve, that I've missed saying this extra little piece is, as you take yourself from S to C and the tailbone actually scoops under, be very conscientious about trying to get this lower abdominal muscle active, and you'll know that it's active because now you're going to hold it. You should feel like your abs, not your high part of your phenomenal abdominals, but lower through the belly, are working, and there should not be any stress through your back. Your chin has a little tuck, and if you're looking anywhere other than the screen, then scan your own front body and then sit yourself back up. Ready? Pull the navel in, start your pelvic tilt, let your spine change shapes, the chin gently draws, scan the front of your body, right? And now from here, you can walk forward. Keep walking. You'll walk to the point where your head and shoulders comfortably rest on the ball. And when that happens, you should feel like the next byproduct of your movement would be that your hips want to just kind of sink. And from there is where the next phase of your pelvic tilt comes in. So take your belly, pull it into your body, immediately feel your hips change positions into pelvic tilt, and then start pushing your feet firmly into the floor to get your bridge. Where is your gaze? Right? Are you staring up and behind you? And you're like, yeah, that's exactly where I'm looking. Well, let's fix that. Draw your chin towards your chest, look forward. If it feels good for you to pull your arms up, maybe you can do some of those circles from right here. There's no reason why we can't hold a bridge, right? If at any time your body gets into massive fatigue, then stop your arms, lower your hips, and walk yourself back up. But what I want you to try not to do is to drop your hips down right now, unless you're deciding to come totally out of the movement. Keep your buns active by being in bridge, pelvic tilt, chin to the chest. You're looking forward, right? Can you windmill your arms? If your arms are not happy with the circular motion, then put them up and open and close, right? Like this. But if you can, keep them in windmill cycle. 5, 4, keep pelvic tilting. 3, 2, let the arms relax. Pick up your head from the ball. Start walking yourself back. So if your feet take baby steps and you can't get any traction, use your hand. Put one hand down, lean into the ball, help yourself up. Right? Don't be scared from your ball. Now, I'm going to change directions. Okay. Think inner thigh. You kind of need to sit a little bit forward. Get off of the top center and just sit a little bit forward, because that's going to give you the ability to glide. Like, look how wide my feet are, right? Super wide. And as you're testing the water, right? If you don't trust yourself on the ball, then you might have a really shallow stride, but then you're not ever going to get either leg straight, right? So figure out how far apart do you need to put your feet so that you can push and slide. This thing about using, I call it your accessory, right? That's different from our chair, is you will develop a confidence with your accessory that lets you start exploring a little bit bigger movement as you prove to yourself, oh, the ball's not going to slide out from under me, right? You just keep working at where do you need to put yourself. And sometimes we feel like our hands on the ball can kind of protect us. It doesn't really work that way, okay? So if you can keep your hands out of the equation, other than just helping you make an adjustment every now and again, don't rely on your arms, right, to be the support base. And I'm struggling with I'm struggling with my mat. You can see I'm making adjustments. It doesn't look like it's my mat that's causing the problem, but it's creating a problem for my ball and my traction. So gliding should all feel good. It should feel like a massive stretch is happening right along this inner thigh. And now get ready to hold. So this leg over here, the bent one, we're going to make an adjustment so that our ball gets tucked up under this leg a little bit more. Pull it up, sit back down, pull it up, sit back down. Why did we do that? Because we didn't want this straight leg. If you have too much of this leg on the ball, then it never gets its full extension at the knee. And so you should feel like you're in a nice propped up position right now. Maybe you even feel like your stretch can go further. All that's required of you is to move this bent leg forward, and then you glide the ball forward and back. Wow, feel that difference, right? It doesn't have to be much. It's like 3 inches. As your ball and hip move towards this bent leg, the stretch line, it's the angles. Angles are everything in the stretch. Ready? Do one more. Pull, 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 pause. What is the integrity of this angle on your bent leg? Is the knee collapsing in? Oh, I hope not. I hope when you look at this leg, if you had a mirror, it'd be very telling. But if you're staring at the screen, I need for you to now look at your front leg here, and I need you to push that leg open, pry it open, so that what you see is the inside of that calf and the foot, not the outside of it. And now relax back, soften the knees, take the tension off, come back to center for a minute before we switch legs. So in center, let's just stir the pot. As big of a circle as you want to go with your hips, as big, as small, it is your discretion. Okay. You don't even need to stay in S sit. Just let your body kind of come to a whatever position feels comfortable, no pain, no strain, reverse circle. This is not this, but my next little bit of story. So on Saturday morning, I went out to the dock where I always do my exercise, release and relax. Start setting yourself up for your inner thigh, gliding side to side until you figure out just how wide you need your legs, right? And I was set up. I had my bands where they needed to be, my mat where it needed to be. I had already been doing like 10 or 15 minutes of my little training. And there was a bench probably 5 or 6 feet off the end of my mat. Stay with me here. You're just following along as you see my body change, right? What are we doing? Exactly what we did on the other leg. We're supporting our bent leg enough so that we free up this straight leg to receive the stretch. And then your bent foot, right? The foot on the bent legs goes forward a couple of inches. So now you can drive your movement back and forth, trying to not need to buckle this knee. Keep that leg nice and straight. So I'm doing my little workout in my twisties. And as I come through my twist, I see a lady sitting literally 5 feet from me. But before I saw her, I was like, this, if I could have had a video on me, my face probably did this. I was perplexed and I thought, who's smoking? And so then when I came out of my twist, she was. So I swear to you, it's like being at the end of my mat. She's sitting there literally watching me having a smoke, and the wind, the way it was pushing her smoke right into my face. And I kept going because one, I was kind of in like just a little bit of disbelief that this was happening to me because it was such a beautiful morning on Saturday, release and relax. And then I thought, okay, there's room enough for all of us out here, like wipe the slate clean, come out of it. Regrouping off of your ball into the next phase. Maybe bring your chair into the equation since I want you to be able to get into your hip flexor stretch. So nonetheless, in my mind, I thought a series of things ran through my mind. I thought, okay, I can stop what I'm doing, break all of my stuff down, and go set up someplace else. Or I'll just wait it out. I'll probably win this one because I'm going to be here for a good hour. And that's what I opted for. I opted to sit it out, wait it. I didn't stop what I was doing. I just kept trying to ignore the fact that this was an element that was being presented to me. And that I thought was I thought it was funny because the property, as you may or may not know, is quite a large property. So that happens to be a really nice sitting area, twist. And I just found it very interesting that that's where this person chose to sit herself and have her smoke. So then yesterday, I'm actually already doing it. I hope you're following along. This opening is not excessive. It's just you coming out of the stretch and then you feeling that when you get your hips squared up and your knee follows along and your middle body is pulled up and in. So the ribs hunker down and the lower abdominal muscle tucks up while you're trying to twist, that the stretch intensifies and then you get to release it. It would almost be like we're trying to pulse into intensity and then back off, right? Pull the belly in and release. And when you release, you get to wipe the slate clean and present your little checklist to yourself again, right? Twist in, pelvic tilt. So yesterday, release and relax. I set up again, other side. And then I started my workout and I thought, what are the odds of it happening to me again? Now, I was prepared for it. It's happening. Open and twist. Right? And I did see her. Actually, that happened on Friday. So Saturday, I set up again and I did see her, and I could tell that she was having like this little inner, she was having her own little inner conversation because I could see it on her face where she was like, ah, this person's in my spot. So then she found someplace else. And then yesterday I saw her again, and then what I realized, this is going to be your last one and you're going to hold for a few extra seconds. What I realized is neither one of us are probably new to what our agenda is for how we go about our morning. The only thing is me. My schedule was off by an hour for all of those 3 days. So she probably thought, who's this person on vacation here, right? And I'm like, who's this person smoking in my exercise spot? Release and relax. So needless to say, it's just one of those things that happened, and I found it to be an interesting the mind of um, how we sometimes create this territory, right? Like there's an assumption that this is my spot, this is where I do my thing. And I thought, oh, I'm the one that's actually throwing the plan because I'm the one who's here at the wrong time. So start your circles. That carries over into anything or so many things. Like the towel that I always choose to be in here with me is my exercise towel. I had 3 towels this morning and I'm like, I want that one. That's the one I always pick. Why do we have these favorites? What comes into these things that actually make it on the list? I've changed my circle. We're going to take our fingers, thread fingers between toes. That's why I love the in-person classes, is for somebody coming in new into a group setting who has no idea that where they've set up to do their exercise happens to be the spot that someone's been doing their exercise in for the last decade, right? And so it's always a funny thing for me to watch when the person whose spot supposedly that is walks in and realizes that someone's in their spot. Like it just is a funny thing. Reverse circle. I hope you're not only just circling, that you are also using your fingers to create some pressure against your toes while you're twisting around. Like there's a lot that can happen with your wrist and your feet and your toes. So make the most of these few little seconds here. Now, up and press. Up and press. And can we coordinate when your body takes its forward push position? Can you get some support, even if it's not the elbow, or some extra push with the hand? And then this hand is going to flex the foot. And now pull the toes, open up through the ankle, shoulders, right? And then push. So I break this down verbally because when I'm just doing this, there's a lot to take in. So if I hadn't told you flex your foot and push into flex and drive into that knee, you would see me moving, but you wouldn't know that I'm actually doing some different things. This hand that's grabbing the knee, I'm using my hands to help me get my shoulders out of my ears and for me to be in a nice, clean S sit. And now we're in C curve and S and C last time. So release and relax. Switch sides. I did a little YouTube discovery. I Googled exercising with autoimmune disorders because I didn't know what was going to pull up, right? And there's not been anything under that specific search. There's not been anything for like the last 2 years that's been done. And it wasn't even exercise, it was just like YouTube conversations with doctor panels, right? So I listened to a couple of them and I found them to be very interesting because autoimmune, you're going to try to incorporate all the things that we did on the other foot. Make your finger squeeze the toes, make your hand wrist work the toes, incorporating your circles, right? All of that. So what it essentially the essence is, once you have registered as having an autoimmune disorder, it then is a marker in your system that either goes into remission or is acutely presenting itself. It's not, this is what the takeaway from me as I listen to these things. Are you ready? Pull your toes back into the shoulders depressed and slight retraction through the scapulas, and then push into it, right? Push and pull. You're going to do about 10 of these, which I thought that little tidbit of information was really enlightening to me. But again and again, they said once you have essentially the label, the stamp, your body has marked that you are autoimmune, whatever the disorder is, dysfunction, whatever term you want to call it, that it either is in remission or it's ever present. And then the fact that you actually need to keep your body physically capable, that is the challenge of people who suffer with autoimmune, is that to figure out what your ability is from an exercise standpoint each day, because each day presents itself with different, not necessarily symptoms, but different capabilities, right? And I know, release and relax, I know that that's true based on all of the people that I've worked with. So here was the one caveat that I thought, I'm doing something right. Okay. It's like it's that little affirmation. We've pushed the foot back, press the toes down into the floor, and then find the slide forward so that you feel like you're getting a little extra stretch right at the top of that junction, right? You're just going to hold there for a moment. You can go into letting your foot float so that you deepen the stretch along the, fourth toe and the pinky toe, and then back to the big toe. Just that little rock with a constant pressure. So these physical therapists, along with the doctor, were talking about how really important it is that when you are treating somebody with an autoimmune, is that you can't have a prescribed set of exercises that this person needs to do, because they're not always going to be able to do those things. And and then they started talking about high intensity hit training. And then they started breaking down what high intensity interval training might mean for somebody who has an autoimmune deficiency, disease, disorder. I don't know what right word to put in there, switch legs. And they're like, sometimes the high intensity activity for that person is essentially marching in place for 30 seconds to a minute and then sitting down and taking a recovery. Like when we think about high intensity movement, um, sometimes our thoughts go to these elaborate things like burpees and jumping jacks and pull-ups and like running sprints, and those all do count as high intensity. But each person has their own ability, and especially with a disorder, autoimmune thing triggering it. So, I felt like I was on track with how we scale our workouts here, based on the fact that we have a lot of parameters of what you can do, and how I present a lot of variety to giving options, right? Permission. And I hope that you're feeling that stretch across the toes, right? Because you're getting ready to stretch your calf in a minute. Release and relax. Oof. And sadly, it's 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 to our demise in a way when we live in yesteryear, right? So the next stretch is already happening. You're going to take your leg number one, and I want you to pull it back until you feel like the challenge is keeping your heel pushed down on the floor, right? So it doesn't matter how far back you're able to pull your leg. If your heel doesn't touch the floor, you've pulled back too far. So you're going to take your eyes off the screen, look down at your foot. Your foot needs to track so that there's no external rotation or internal compensation. Okay, so you're looking at your foot, your knee. You may even have to reposition your hips so you get like really grounded. Your goal is to take your body weight and press forward into this trailing backside here without letting your heel pull up off the floor, and without letting your heel swivel. Okay, so as you're looking down, your knee should be tracking over your toes. Your knee is actually projecting beyond the line of the toe, but the heel is flush to the floor, and you're going to use your weight to bear down into that side. This is part of our ankle mobility work today. But it's not only ankle mobility, it's a little bit of a stretch through part of the calf that tends to be affected, or tends to affect the plantar fasciitis. Okay, release and relax, other side. With that leg pulled back the way that it is and you bearing down on it, I hope you felt like you were doing some quad activation. Okay, so set it up, leg number two. Here we go. So as I wrap up that little segment of my thought process with autoimmune and exercise, is when I first started training, are you setting yourself up right? Don't let the knee collapse. Don't let the toes swivel out. Track it all, right? Bear down into it. And you just keep exploring. Maybe after a few seconds, you're able to pull the foot back a little bit further. Okay. You should almost feel like you're getting ready to stand up out of your chair. Like that's how you, You want your hips driving the position back as if you were going to rise up out of your chair, except you're not. And that's what makes it quad active, but yet stretch through the bottom of that leg. So when I first started training, I used to keep journals on all of my clients. What, this is the workout we did, so that the next time they came in to do the workout, like it's on paper, here's the weight that you did, this is the reps you did, and this is like we're moving on, right? And I would go through release and relax, move your chair. I would prep myself for my day with my clients, pull out my journal of who I was going to see, and I'd create their workout. I did this for years, only to find that so very often the workout that I had fastidiously written out, we were not able to do because the body would come in and they would tell me a little piece of information that would totally make me like draw this big X through the page and start fresh. So this is you grab your towel, you're going down. You may need your stretch out strap. If you need to go, I understand we're probably going to run a few minutes late since we started late. If you can come down to your hands and knees, that would be ideal. So it why did it take me years to stop keeping track like that? Because it's what everybody did. Every trainer kept track of their clients, right? So that when a client said, hey, I'm going out of town, can you write me out a little workout so I can keep myself active while I'm away? I did that for years. And guess what? The client would then come back from whatever they were doing and I would say, hey, how'd your workout go? They're like, oh, I never got around to it. Like, so I literally have spent a lot of time writing out a lot of things for people that never came to pass. And that's precisely what these physical therapists and the doctor said, is that to be able to work with somebody who doesn't have this pre-scripted thing about what you're supposed to do when you walk into your session, it is how the body presents itself when you're right there right now. That's super important. So that's what I feel like we do here together, right? We do our very best, and that's all you can hope for. Put the tops of the feet on the floor. Your hands should be under the shoulders, perhaps a little bit wider than shoulder width, but certainly not forward. And you're going to tuck your chin, suck your belly up, push the tops of the feet to the floor, chin to chest. Your eyes are open, kind of look at your navel. And then release. And then gently push buns to feet. Maybe, maybe not. Come back up, rounded spine, chin to chest. Now, as you come out of your rounded back, I want you to think wrist. And so you're going to take one hand and you're going to turn it so that the fingertips point back towards your knee. And you're going to rock your body back. Okay. So you can move the other hand to give you better support. And the hand that you are stretching, the wrist that's got the stretch going on, can you take your shoulders out of your ears and try to do your glide without that shoulder pulled up? So this is a really useful piece of this equation, right? Is shoulder out of the ear. We are in S curve. Your belly's pulled up. Your hips do not have to sit on your feet in order for you to get your stretch. It's just a little slide. Wow, so intense. If that's too intense for you, then you just get your hand closer to the outside of the knee and the stretch will change. Okay, switch sides, change the hands around, spread the fingers. Ooh, shoulder out of the ear. Use your other hand in whatever capacity makes you feel like it's giving you the support that you need. If you're really, really tight, then that stretching arm is going to need to get closer to the knee. okay? Or you'll not be able to glide at all because you're so tight, right? So just explore that space over there. Make sure that as you look at your fingers, they're stretched out, right? Shoulder out of the ear. And relax. Come to seated position. So this is what we're going to finish with. And that's why I said your strap might be handy, is because we're going to fold one leg in, and it's the leg that's straight that we're going to loop around. Okay. Doing your best. If your low back and your hips are really tight, then this would be where you would add a pillow under your bum to help free up your spine a little bit. Sometimes it's not always a flexibility thing. It's that we can be dealing with body mass that makes it really hard to navigate space too. So if you will just elongate the arm that goes with your straight leg, grab hold of your strap, okay? Use that arm to pull your body towards the leg, okay? And hold. And now that arm is pushing, somehow being an assist to you so that you can twist the other part of you up and then release. Can you go further? Can you take the arm down the strap a little bit, still starting with your upright sit, still pulling with your arm so the arm slides into that inside of the leg, opening up through the trunk, twisting the head. Maybe you have your hand to your shoulder because your arm doesn't want to go up full extension. But where your elbow goes will increase your stretch. So even if you can't use this arm effectively in straight mode, you don't have to worry about that. Just keep driving your elbow up. Not only up, if your trunk is closed down towards the floor, we need to twist you open. This is why I often suggest let your eyes follow your hand, let your eyes follow your elbow, because it'll give you a reference point and release. And now for the sake of going to side number 2, depending on what you just experienced with that, if that was really uncomfortable and you're going, okay, my sofa's right there, you could get up and you could sit on your sofa and you could take the straight leg, it runs the length of your sofa, and your other leg would be bent on the floor like this, and the stretch would be being done like this, but your butt would be up. So it would, if I could twist my camera and show you the angle, I would. But if seated does not permit you to get your body opened and rotated, then you have to get your bum up and elevated, okay? So it's an option. You could try it from the side of your bed, your sofa, but your entire leg would be on the sofa edge and your other foot would be on the floor, and you would find that your stretch line would just be a much easier position to get into if this was way too hard. So palm is up, grab the strap, use your arm, get your shoulder out of your ear. So you're pulling your shoulder, your scapulas down, and then you're going to flex your bicep to get your body closer to your thigh. Take the other arm, twist it, turn the head. Where's your elbow? Oh. You're going to release it and you're going to set up for a little bit deeper if you can. Get closer to your foot, pull, twist, looking up. Maybe that arm is just out here. Can you raise the elbow and pull the shoulders down at the same time? That's the tricky part, is how do we move our limb and still maintain the integrity of our shoulder depression. It is learned commands to the body. And release. Okay. One last cat back, way back. Okay, rolling over. If from cat back, your body says, oh, please go into child's pose, then you float down, push the hips back as far as they will go, let the arms reach out. Your body will tell you if it feels good. If you get to this position and your legs are together, that might not feel so good. You may have to separate the space between your knees in order to let your body have some place to float into. And now, backing the hands up so that you're not stressed in the shoulders. Can you like curl the chin towards your chest and start pulling the buns up using your abs, using your glutes? You're coming up. Maybe you need your hands, maybe you don't. Your buns are tightening, 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 back body lines getting active, and then step out of it. Whew. Namaste. Okay, you guys. We are off and running into